Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to Newsnight. Tonight, IMF keeps Ghana at high risk of debt distress despite debt improvements and early achievements of IMF debt target. We'll tell you why shortly. Also ahead, government secures $200 million from the World Bank to end double track system in senior high schools across the country.
I should commend the St. Peter's School in Kwao as one of the first schools that have been able to end double track. So I'm going to reward them with infrastructure.
We have details as Education Minister Haruna Iddrisu says this is part of government's ongoing efforts to strengthen the free senior high school program. And fresh global info analytics poll reveals rising support for Kennedy Agyapong in the MPP flagbearer race, with former Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia maintaining a steady lead.
Now, if you look at the current poll, Bawumia is on 45%. That is up 43% from last time. And Kennedy, on the other hand, is on 31%, up from, I think, 18 or 19%. So you can see that Kennedy made huge gains.
Less than 24 hours to Christmas, major roads in Kumasi, Accra, and other parts of the country are already experiencing heavy congestion as shoppers rush to purchase livestock ahead of the festive celebrations.
Something small for the words. I like that. What about the prices? Are you okay with the prices?
Yeah, it's overwhelming, but since the season is here, we have no choice than to purchase.
For these two, is it enough for you?
Oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay for now. It's actually for me and my sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So each of us will take one.
In business,
IMF warns recent tax cut and VAT reforms could result in more revenue loss than earlier estimated.
in sports,
Asante Kotoko beat 11 Wonders to go third in the Ghana Premier League.
and a bit later, with just 2 days to the Joy FM family party in the park, we'll be giving you a sneak peek of what Kwanpa Band have in store for us when you hit the stage. We got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. My name is Kenneth. Jesse, you can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. Details shortly. Hello again. Welcome to the program. The International Monetary Fund has maintained Ghana's classification as a country at high risk of debt distress, even as the country records major improvements in its debt profile. Well, Ghana has already achieved the IMF program target of reducing debt to 55% of GDP, 3 years ahead of schedule, now standing at about 48%. However, the IMF says there exist some fundamental elements that leaves risks surrounding Ghana's debt elevated. And joining me in the studio is the head of research here at Joy News, Isaac Kofiaje, with more on this. Isaac, tell us, why is the IMF still classifying Ghana as high risk of debt distress when the numbers really have improved?
Well, Ken, so we go to page 28 of the IMF Fifth Review Report, and point 50 has the caption, quote, Ghana's debt trajectory has improved markedly on an upgraded macroeconomic outlook and continued fiscal discipline. But it says, but risk remain elevated. And here's, what the IMF says about Ghana's, debt profile. And I quote, says that the debt stock and debt servicing burden are declining faster than anticipated. And the mechanical signal from the DSA, which is the debt stability analysis, suggests that Ghana could already achieve moderate risks of debt distress in 2025. However, Ghana's debt risk outlook remains subject to significant vulnerabilities, including related to large perspective domestic financing needs and exposure to commodity-driven exchange rate volatility. Here again, talking about, the gold purchase program, referring to that. And it says that, therefore, the staff here, it means the IMF staff applies judgment to maintain Ghana's classification as high risk of debt distress. And it says that it will be premature to upgrade Ghana, which means that, any premature upgrade could undermine the rating's credibility if unforeseen shocks materialize. And it went ahead to say that, staff will reassess Ghana's medium-term debt outlook when the debt restructuring is, completed and macroeconomic stabilization is well entrenched. Per what we know from the IMF report, Ghana is expected to enjoy some 1.5 billion US dollars in external debt servicing relief next year, which will be a significant component in reducing its balance of payment gap in 2026. However, the IMF is citing exchange rate vulnerabilities as a key vulnerability to the debt status of the country at the moment. Remember, we had a report out that said that looking at the third quarter of 2025, when the cedi depreciated by some 20%, the country's debt stock put on weight by some 70 billion US dollars. We understand that the appreciation in the third quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, has actually helped the debt stock in the month of October to come down significantly. But the IMF believes that this roller coaster movement in the exchange rates environment poses significant risks to our debt outlook. That is why the staff believe that it will be premature for them to upgrade Ghana's status, and that's why they are still keeping Ghana at high risk of debt distress.
Kofi Ajay, thank you very much. Let's now get more on this and go onto the telephone lines and speak to Professor Patrick Isumi, who is an economist at the University of Ghana Business School, to shed more light on this. Glad you could join us this evening, Prof. Ghana has already reduced its debt to GDP ratio to about 48%, as my colleague mentioned, well below the IMF's 55% target. I want to find out, in your view, is the IMF being overly cautious, or are there real dangers the numbers are not fully capturing? Hello, Professor Isumi, can you hear me? Right, we're trying to reconnect with Professor Patrick Isumi. He's an economist at the University of Ghana Business School there, to really understand why the country should be worried when our debt to GDP ratio has gone below 50%, 3 years ahead of schedule. And I have my colleague Isaac Ovieje, who is the head of the Joy News Research Desk, back in the studio. Isaac, of course, you've mentioned about the exchange rate being one of the key risks the IMF is worried about. Is there anything else they are worried about?
Well, so the exchange rate remains the most significant vulnerability being quoted by the IMF, but they are also worried about commodity-driven, not just exchange rate, but commodity-driven exchange rate. So in this case, we know that the cedi is currently being backed by gold, elevated gold prices. And so once you have gold prices coming down, the IMF is a bit worried that this could affect our debt situation. In fact, we understand that if you look at the exchange rate environment or the exchange rate trajectory since we did redenomination in 2007, this will be the first time that the cedi will be ending the year with cumulative appreciation since redenomination. The average depreciation since we did a redenomination in 2007 has been around 10%. But this year, per the data we are seeing, there is enough evidence to show that the cedi will end the year with cumulative appreciation of about 30%, and this will be good for the debt status. But the IMF believes that once you have your exchange rate not being in the right direction, this could add significant component to your debt stock, because we understand, if you look at 2023, for instance, Ghana added about 92 billion Ghana cedis to its debt stock, not because it borrowed fresh loans or fresh monies, but simply because of the exchange rate situation.
That's quite an interesting analysis, Kofi. Thank you once again. And we're still trying to get onto the telephone lines with Professor Patrick Isumi there. But while we try, though, in the meantime, let's talk politics, because a fresh global info analytics poll has revealed rising support for Kennedy Agyapong in the MPP flagbearer race, with former Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia maintaining a steady lead. The survey, which sampled the opinions of 3,500 MPP delegates, places Dr. Bawumia at 45%, with Mr. Agyapong rising to 31%. Dr. Brian Agyapong trails at 1% or 3%, while 11% of respondents declined to disclose their choice and 9% remain undecided, pointing to a more competitive race despite Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's clear lead. And my colleague Pearl Ofori is joining me in the studio with details of this particular poll. Pearl, let's do a comparative analysis. What are the changes between this new poll and the one that was released in October?
Well, Kenneth, in a poll published at the beginning of this month, former Vice President Dr. Bawumia maintained a 43% lead, which has since edged up to 45% in this latest poll. Now, Kennedy Agyapong previously recorded 18% support from the sample and has now surged to 31%. Dr. Brian Agyapong had 5% of the vote in the earlier poll, but that figure has declined to 3% in the most recent survey. We can now listen to the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa.
We sampled 3,500 delegates randomly across over 260 constituencies. And we've been posing this question to them for the past 4 months or so, including who would you vote for in the MPP primary. And what we've seen is a bit of realignment of the numbers in the December poll. Now, if you look at the current poll, Bawumia is on 45%. That is up 43% from last time. And Kennedy, on the other hand, is on 31%, up from, I think, 18 or 19%. So you can see that Kennedy made huge gains, but Bawumia too made a slight gain. Now, what you see is that there are those who were undecided, who are breaking down for the candidates, and those who are not disclosing also breaking out. From what we have seen, those who broke out to Kennedy were largely people from a group of people who said they were not disclosing, and now they're disclosing. Also, a number of people who said they were undecided also deciding, and some going to Bawumia and some going to Kennedy. But you could see Brian lost 2%, and that 2% went to Kennedy. I think Kennedy made a lot of gains, huge gains. But what is helping Bawumia is that gain didn't come at a loss to him. He didn't lose ground. Just those who were in the not disclosing column and not decided are the ones who are breaking to Kennedy.
So that's Musa Dankwa. He's the Executive Director of the Global Info Analytics. Meanwhile, both camps have welcomed the survey. But Dr. Bawumia's camp has, however, launched a scathing criticism of Kennedy Agyapong's camp, expressing shock at their jubilation and insisting their candidate remains in a comfortable lead. Dr. Accra is the Deputy Spokesperson for the Bawumia camp.
I believe this is not the first time polls have come out. We evaluate all the polls that come out, all the credible polls that come out, and then we see what we can learn from them to improve our campaign, and we've been doing that. If you've taken a clear look at the Global Info Analytics poll, you would see that His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is still clearly in the lead. I woke up this morning and I found it very funny that our opponents, who are still trailing by more than 10 points, found cause to jubilate. I mean, I wish I could inherit some of their blind optimism, because I don't see how you're trailing and you're happy. If the elections were held today by this poll, you are not winning. So I don't see what is there for them to jubilate about. But for us on the Bawumia side, we've always remained focused. The goal that we are trying to achieve with this campaign has always been simple. We are trying to bring back the love in MPP. We are trying to reassure the delegates that we have a leader who is capable of bringing us victory. We are reminding the delegates that we have such a formidable asset in His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia that the onus is now on us to do what best we can to help him become president so that we can lead Ghana into more progress.
That's the Deputy Spokesperson for Dr. Bawumia's campaign team, Dr. Accra. And Kennedy Agyapong's camp has also hit back, insisting the gains are substantial and pointing to the fact that their message is resonating well with delegates.
Anytime you polls, there are two things you look out for: the credibility of the data. The credibility of the data, that's one, and also the methodology. I've been following Mr. Dankwa's poll on this election for a very long time, since we started. And even as of last month, Kennedy was at 18%. So if you think there's just a 10% margin, that 10% margin, Kennedy had an extra 13% even within the space of a month. So I don't think that's really the point. The point is, how well are the candidates doing? How well are the delegates responding to the campaigns of the candidate? Kennedy started at 17. Bawumia started at over 50. He's come down to around 40, around 45, 44. And he's plateaued. He's not had any significant increase since then. Kennedy has moved 13 points up within the space of a month. I think that is cause for them. Obviously, IMF are very, very well. I don't think it's something that they will admit. But I know this is causing a lot of panic in their team. I think Kennedy, what we are doing is we are just focus on our messaging. It's very obvious our message is working.
Away from politics, though, let's talk education now, because the sector minister Haruna Iddrisu says the government has secured $200 million from the World Bank to end the double-track system in senior high schools as part of efforts to strengthen the free senior high school program. The erstwhile MPP government introduced the double-track system in 2018 as a temporary solution to the surge in student enrollment resulting from the free senior high school policy. But the current government says it is taking steps to abolish it. Speaking at the inauguration of the governing council members and chair of the 4 colleges of Ghana in Accra, the minister also announced that Parliament has approved amendments to the Get Fund Act outlining the objectives the changes are intended to achieve.
The government has secured $200 million from the World Bank to work to end double track. I should commend the St. Peter's School and Kwao as one of the first schools that have been able to end double track. So I'm going to reward them with infrastructure for going ahead of government with their own intervention to end double track system. We intend, as I have announced publicly, to convert 30 Category C schools to B and 10 Category B schools to A and expand infrastructure in all the Category A schools. And distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as I end, about a week ago in Parliament, when we were taking through the Get Fund Amendment Act, we have done it. Excellency President Mahamudu today, if we are lucky, before he begins his holidays, will give presidential assent to the amended Get Fund Act and the revised one that has all been passed into law by the Parliament of Ghana. So in the debate on the Get Fund Amendment Act, a colleague member of Parliament for Wale and my very good friend Kapiru, when we got to a provision, and the Get Fund Amendment Act, Yapeura, is to do 3 things. 1, to give assured sustainable financing.
That's the Minister for Education, Haruna Iddrisu. He has also further disclosed that the government has allocated 100 million cedis to support free education for persons with special needs, with a breakdown of how the funds will be utilized.
Is that for George Dramani Mahama, an enduring legacy of his presidency will be reaching out to the marginalized, vulnerable, of learners with special needs. We are dedicated, and I'm told by Chief Director who represents us at the Get Fund, that an amount of 100 million Ghana cedis have been dedicated by Get Fund to support our new initiative of providing free education.
Right, and we have news just coming in from the Minister of the Interior, Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak, and my colleague Pearl Ofori is back in the studio to tell us more. Pearl, what do you have?
Well, the Interior Ministry released a statement, and it's on the back of the Boku mediation report presented to the President by Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, and it reads implementation of the recommendations of the Otumfuo Osei Tutu Boku affair. It says, this afternoon, personnel of the Ghana Armed Forces removed Alhaji Seydou Abagri from Boku, pursuant to the recommendations of the Otumfuo Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu the second mediation report regarding the Boku affair. Alhaji Seydou Abagri is safe in the care of security agencies. Signed, Muntaka Mubarak, MP and Minister for Interior.
Thank you very much. That's definitely breaking news that we will be following through in our subsequent bulletins. But in the meantime, though, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has suspended the rollout of the new vehicle number plate registration system and extended the use of DP stickers and DV plates indefinitely. The new system was scheduled to take effect on January 2nd, 2026, pending parliamentary approval. Speaking at a press conference in Accra, the Chief Executive Officer of the authority, Julius Nikwe, explained that although Parliament successfully passed amendments to the Road Traffic Act, the specific amendments required for Legislative Instrument 2180 were not completed before Parliament went on recess last week. As a result, the necessary legal backing for the implementation of the new number plate system is not yet in place, compelling the DVLA to suspend the planned rollout.
Parliament was able to carry out through the amendments in the Road Traffic Act. However, the specific provisions requiring amendments in the LI 2180 have not been successful before Parliament went on recess on Friday, 19th December 2025. As a result, due to the fact that the LI 2180 amendments have not gone through, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, announces to the general public the suspension of the impending rollout of new license plates slated for 2nd January 2026. So one may ask, what happens? The DVLA announces extended use of the current Drive from Port sticker, that is DP, as well as the DV plate. This means that anyone who has the DP sticker on their vehicle as well as the DV plate on their vehicle could continue to use them up to a time limit to be announced by the authority in due course.
That's the DVLA boss there, Julius Kote. He has also criticized the Vehicle Enforcement Association of Ghana for filing an injunction at the Accra High Court to hold the process, describing the action and the reasons cited as untenable.
The one who won the contract, Mr. Dasibre, has opened his arms that, okay, there are 3 companies in the world that deal with RFID. We have one we call Tongis, they are in Germany. We have Uta, they are in Poland. And then we have Genbit, they are in China. We've been to the China one with the Tenga team to inspect them. They are okay. We are yet to go to the other ones. But as I speak with you now, we have not engaged anyone. So please, you can take this one to the public and we'll meet them in court. So they will show us where they have the contract with, and we've truncated it and we're giving it out. What we know, I know we have with them, is memorandum of understanding. That from January to December. From January to December, they were not even being paid. When I got into office, then your boy and co brought to my thing that, oh, the people are working and they've not been paid. And I think in the month of August, I signed for Mr. Mpedu, the finance man, to pay them because they've been working.
Well, let's get more on this. And Jojo Bruce Kwanzaa is the spokesperson for the Vehicle Enforcement Association of Ghana. Glad you could join me this evening. You've been listening to the DVLA boss who says that your contract ran through December, which is this month, and it has expired. And thus, you have no case to call for reinstatement of your contract. How do you respond to that?
Your voice is a bit low. Can you ask the question again?
Yes.
If you can raise your voice more so that...
right, is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Yes, I'm saying that the DVLA boss said that their contract with you expired in December, so he sees no reason why you still want them to give you this contract.
I am surprised you should say that our contract is expiring in December. It is not. The permit I have that is not expiring in December. There is an MOU that they issued. We haven't even seen the MOU. The MOU is with the DVLA. And that MOU was signed purposely to make it possible for them to pay us. That is why that MOU was created. You see, but the permit that was given to us has no expiry date. So if he wants to kick us out of the job, then he has to revoke that permit they gave us. You understand me?
I do.
Yes. So that MOU has nothing to do with the permit that was given to us to emboss plates.
Right. Hold on for me. I have Stephen Kwabena Atta, who is the Director of Corporate Affairs at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, also on the line. Stephen, glad you could also join me this evening. Your boss, Julius, has been making some claims that they put the new implementation on hold because of a lack of parliamentary approval. But the Vehicle Endorsement Association of Ghana is saying that no, that is not the case. It is because of their interlocutory injunction on that action. That is why that implementation has been on hold.
Good evening to your listeners. But I want to understand, has the court impose any injunction on DVLA? Obviously not. So that claim cannot be true. It is true, it's on record, that if you follow parliamentary proceedings, the amendment we sought in the Road Traffic Act was done, but on any feature and details that are contained on a license plate, they are contained in the LI. The current LI 2180 under Regulation 10, it stated clearly what must be on a license plate. So if you seek to replace that plate, you need to go back with the features you want to be on it, amend the LI. And that LI could not mature before Parliament went on recess. That is the basis. It is not about any court action anybody has taken on an interlocutory injunction. There's no injunction served on DVLA.
Is that the case?
Of my knowledge, please.
But your boss admitted to that injunction. So
he didn't say there's any injunction placed on us, please. I was at the press conference.
Okay.
What he stated is that he has become aware of a certain court action. Undertaking a court action doesn't mean automatically there's an injunction that has been granted by the court. DVLA has not been injuncted on anything. And I'm telling you the purpose for which we have made this announcement. It is not about any court process that is being served or that is ongoing, please.
But have you taken receipt of any court action that has been served by?
Not one that I'm aware. Before I left office today, I spoke with the legal department. They made a indication to me that it's not been served any such processes. So I mean, it's not something that I know about.
Stephen, don't go yet. Let me bring in Jojo at this point. You've been listening to Stephen Kwabena Atta, who says that they have not been served any interlocutory injunction. So it cannot be the case that it is because of your court action that is why the processes have been put on hold. But it is indeed the case that because of lack of parliamentary approval.
Well, you see, since this morning, the DVLA has been trying very hard to tell Ghanaians that they postponed the digitalized plate on their own. But you see, I'm surprised in saying that they haven't seen it because I am aware that the bailiff served them on Monday. And that is the more reason why they cannot, on the 2nd of January, roll out the digitalized plates. That is it. Nothing. See, you see, look, Parliament could have done this thing for them. Yes, there is a period that the LI must be in Parliament to mature. But the point is that right now, as we speak, the injunction, I brought a copy to your office. The injunction is there. Is it a forgery document? This is an authentic document from the court. So I am surprised that as a public, as a corporate head of corporate affairs, he's saying that he has not even seen it or he has not heard about it. When his boss is admitting that there is an interlocutory injunction on the DVLA.
Jojo, how many months are you owed by the DVLA?
Right now, they owe us 2 months.
And Stephen, are there plans to clear those areas?
No, you see, usually
I'm asking Stephen if I may.
With you, I'm not getting the direction of a discussion, but the point is that Chief made an indication that payments have been made. They cleared some arrears owed them. He did not say that we've paid them everything. But the point is that an injunction is a public document. If a court grants an injunction, it's a public document. I don't know if Joy FM has seen a copy of that injunction. I haven't seen. In fact, I'm telling you that by the time I spoke with legal before I left the office, they have not been served any such process. So I cannot manufacture something I've not seen and claim I've seen it. And if they have it, and then I haven't seen one. And I don't know if
the legal department or somebody in the office is keeping it somewhere. Because this is a legal document. You cannot forge an interlocutory document from the court. You can't forge it.
And I haven't seen one.
And I am aware the police served them on Monday, 3 p.m. They were served on 3 p.m. on Monday. You see, so I'm surprised he's denying it. And then in any case, you see, we, Denmark and the DVLA have a contractual agreement. We don't even ask them for our money. They pay us as and when they are ready to pay us. You see, so we don't even ask them. We don't even ask them. When they are ready, in fact, I got my October money today. You understand? Yes. So I think the CEO is well versed with what is happening than the corporate affairs manager.
Right, gentlemen, let's end the conversation here, but thank you very much.
I thought you would have given me space to just.
Yes,
I mean, definitely a chief executive will be
yeah.
exposed to a lot of things I don't know about. But today, I can be emphatic that he never indicated anywhere that he has been served any interlocutory injunction. Never. He has never stated it anywhere. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. That is Stephen Kwabena Atta. He's the Director of Corporate Affairs at the DVLA. Earlier, we also heard from Jojo Bruce Kwanzaa, who's the spokesperson at the Vehicle Endorsement Association of Ghana. That takes us to business, and James Ishan is here with the latest. James?
Well, so coming up in business this evening, IMF warns recent tax cut and VAT reforms could result in more revenue loss than earlier estimated. And banking consultant Dr. Richmond Itiahene describes proposed changes to Bank of Ghana Act as timely but needed to protect its independence. Business News on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, Syntex tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal. Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. My name is James Ishan. We settle for the details now. The International Monetary Fund is warning that recent tax cuts and abolition of some VAT levies may result in more revenue loss than estimated. This was captured in the staff report released by the IMF on Ghana after passing the FET review. We have details in the following report.
Government in the 2026 budget projected that the country could be losing about 3 billion Ghana cedis as a result of some taxes being abolished, as well as reviewing some rates. It had projected that these are monies that it should have been collecting, especially when it comes to the COVID-19 levy. But based on this development, it will rather be giving it back to individuals and businesses. But the IMF in its staff report on Ghana is projecting that the expected revenue loss could be much more than earlier estimated. Based on the IMF numbers, it could be losing more than 6 billion Ghana cedis in a fiscal year as a result of this move by government. The IMF is therefore warning that government may have to press hard on these proposed reforms to make up for these losses, especially when it comes to the area of compliance and administrative reforms. The Finance Minister, Dr. Tuforson, on the other hand, has argued that he's determined to push ahead with these reforms to help close the expected gap that has been created. Government believes that these reforms will help stimulate growth and development that could go a long way in improving tax collections.
And that was a business desk report. Now, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Iddrisu has described as timely the changes made to the Bank of Ghana Act. Parliament last week passed a new set of regulations to guide operations of the central bank. Key among these changes is placing a legal restriction on any form of financial assistance to government. It is also seeking to stop government appointing any of its members and parliamentarians onto the Bank of Ghana board. Dr. Iddrisu tells Joy Business this is critical to enhance the regulator's independence.
It's the first time that we have been very serious about what has happened to the country, but Central Bank 2022 and 2023, where you monetize government deficit. That has led us into this whole recapitalization issue that is baffling the current government. And I believe that these are very good. However, we need to toughen it because if you look at it critically, it said in force majeure. Force majeure, if there is COVID, if there's an earthquake, then the central bank can also monetize some of these things. And I would have thought that we would have placed a total caveat on it and stop it so that it doesn't happen what has happened to us previously. Secondly, I mean, look at what the finance minister is saying, at least about the board governance. It is never done anywhere where politicians, parliamentarians sit on the central bank board. So I think it's the step in the right direction, but we must do more to give the Bank of Ghana the operational independence and the financial independence and the political independence.
You heard banking consultant Dr. Richmond Iddrisu. Now, developing basic infrastructure and providing reliable security are crucial for the growth of the country's tourism sector. That is according to operators in the hospitality industry. They explained that the availability of essential amenities as street light and well-maintained roads contribute to a complete tourism experience. David Eduafo, as managing director of Labadi Beach Hotel, speaking to Joy Business here.
The government must walk the talk. Infrastructure to develop tourist sites and hospitality sites are key. For instance, 24-hour economy. If tourists come to your country and they want to go out and have fun, the street lights, the whole of this stretch at Labadi, in front of Labadi to Teshi or to Osu, there's no street light. The street lights are off every time. Do you think they'll feel safe? They will not feel safe. So these are some of the things that the government needs to help, to come in to support. And if there are street lights and the roads are good, they ply on good roads and security is guaranteed, why not? People would like to. I'm a night man. I like to, have fun in the night. I mean, there's day, so there's night. But if you don't feel secure, and security is from who? Central government. So the government has a lot to do.
And that was David Eduafo, Managing Director of Labadi Beach Hotel there. And in the business news, all news night with me, James Ishan. Over to you, Ken.
Oh, thank you very much, James. Don't go yet. Tomorrow is Christmas. So what are you doing? What are your plans?
We're working.
Same here. Thank you. And let's bring in more stories this evening. And President John Mahama has announced a new committee will be established early next year to oversee the implementation of the recommendations put forward by the Constitution Review Committee. He explained that the implementation committee will be made up partly of members of the Constitutional Review Committee to ensure continuity and a deeper understanding of the proposals. The president further indicated that this step is aimed at translating the committee's work into concrete reforms. He also outlined a clear roadmap detailing the processes and actions that will guide the next phase of the Constitution Review and implementation process. He spoke at the Jubilee House during the presentation of the report.
So you can take a rest after working so hard for so many months. You can enjoy your Christmas, and as soon as we resume early next year, we're moving from the constitutional review process into the implementation process. And so early next year, we would announce an implementation committee, and of course, we're going to call some of you to come and serve on that committee because we need that institutional memory transferred into the implementation. And so take a rest now, but next year we might call some of you again to form the Constitutional Review Implementation Committee. For now, we'll study the report. I've handed it over to the Legal Counsel and the Attorney General. They will look at it, and we'll see how to synchronize, our views. I think that many of the recommendations you've made are quite revolutionary. Some are quite radical, but I think that it's in the interest of our democracy. Currently in our sub-region, we can see many countries backsliding with regards to their democratic and constitutional governance. And so this couldn't have come at a better time.
That's President John Dramani Mahama there. And parts of the capital, Accra, the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, and other regions are experiencing gridlock as last-minute shoppers throng central business districts and bus terminals ahead of the Christmas celebrations. And earlier today, my colleague Stephen Mensah visited the Aveno livestock market here in Accra, where brisk trading was underway with buyers purchasing livestock for the festive season. Here is his report.
It is less than 24 hours to Christmas, and here at the Aveno Goat Market, traders and buyers are already feeling the rush as families prepare for the festivities. Nazir sells goats at this market and says demand has picked up.
This one 170, this one 200, and this will be 250.
But which types are these?
These are locals, a fear DNB. These are fear DNO.
For buyers, there's a shared concern about prices, with many calling for a reduction to make the prices of the items more affordable for the season.
We are in next month, so something small for the boys.
What about the prices? Are you okay with the prices?
Yeah, it's overwhelming, but since the season is here, we have no choice than to purchase. The 2025 has been a very hectic year, so at least something to calm the soul.
Michael has traveled all the way from Amasaman in search of goats for the Christmas celebration, but says the journey has not made the decision any easier.
We are from Amasaman, so we on the way coming, we were stopping at every store where they have the goats, and we were asking of the prices. And then
all this is in preparation for Christmas?
Yeah, for Christmas, you know. Actually, every Christmas we kill goats. Every Christmas we kill goat, you know, just to celebrate with the family. So, yeah.
And the children are not left out of the excitement as they join their parents at the markets, sharing the expectations for Christmas Day.
I want to celebrate the Christmas with my daddy and the mommy. You have fun.
Reporting from the livestock market here in Aveno, I'm Stephen Mensah.
So that's the situation in the capital. Let's take you to the Ashanti region because it's not any different, where severe traffic congestion has left many commuters stranded for hours, forcing some to abandon their vehicles and walk long distances to their destinations. The Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP Arthur Osei-Akoto, says traffic management measures and increased police deployment are in place and are expected to bring some relief.
Major routes across the Ashanti regional capital have been overwhelmed by a surge in number of vehicles entering the city. Long queues stretch across busy corridors including Kejetia, Sofoline, Edum, Bantama and Abripo Junction, with some passengers spending up to 4 hours waiting for transportation. Vehicular congestion is widespread in parts of the city. Regional Commander DCOP Osei-Akoto explains strategies to deal with the situation.
But problems they are multifaceted. A funny be
Some police personnel are to blame for the problem. Driver indiscipline is another problem. Now tricycles are all on the road creating problems. We are educating the drivers and doing our best to improve the traffic situation.
So that's the situation in the Ashanti regional capital of Kumasi. Well, with just 2 days to the highly anticipated Joy FM family party in the park, excitement is already building among patrons and music lovers. One of the highlights of this year's event will be the live performances by Kwampa Band, Dope Nation and Kwabena Kwabena, all of them known for their energetic stagecraft and crowd-pulling sound. Ahead of the big day, we will be bringing you a preview of what you can expect when they mount the stage as preparations intensify for what promises to be a fun-filled event.
your boy. What's your boy? And the money boy. Felix cannot dance. Felix cannot dance. Felix cannot dance. But oh yeah, then run inside your beto. You a merry Christmas after 2 years. Get on the dance floor.
You surely do not want to miss the Joy FM family party in the park happening on the 26th of December. Benaya is here with the latest in sports. Benaya, what do you have for us?
Kenneth, let's talk about Kumasi Asante Kotoko, the Porcupine Warriors, because they've moved up to third on the Ghana Premier League table after 2-0 win over 11 Wonders. Now, Peter Amiduakwa opened the scoring in the 17th minute, following a bright start for the Porcupines. Now, struggling 11 Wonders were unable to escape their half as Kotoko maintained relentless pressure. Now, that pressure paid off in the 90th minute when forward Johnson Owusu doubled the lead to make it 2-0, sealing all 3 points for the Kumasi-based side.
Thank you very much, Benaya, for bringing us sports. And the air at some of our busiest bus terminals is becoming harder to breathe. Thick exhaust fumes from idling vehicles, fuel engines and waste burning hang in the air, choking commuters, drivers and traders who spend long hours there every day. Researchers are now warning that the level of sulfur dioxide in these areas is far higher than what is considered safe. And new findings from PSS Ebania, which is helping 13 local assemblies map air pollution, show that at least 10 of them recorded pollution levels about 3 times higher than World Health Organization. My colleague Michael Ashali spoke to the executive director of PSS Ebania, Dr. Joseph Ayituo.
Most of the other MMDAs recorded sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide around 220, 230 micrograms per cubic meter, significantly above the 150 micrograms per cubic meter requirement by EPA and then the World Health Organization. So these raised a lot of concerns, but also provided evidence, specific evidence to local authorities as to where and what activities produce what kinds of pollutant or sources of pollution. And then that informed the specific actions as to how to control and minimize these actions.
Back to the sulfur dioxide, do you know where exactly these specific ones were coming from, or what was contributing to the high numbers that we're seeing on your equipment?
Okay, so that originally, when we measured, we also had concerns about the high levels of sulfur dioxide because significantly we noticed that this was generally high across the sites that we measured. Then when we compared the sites where the sulfur dioxide was considered high, we then noticed that the kinds of activities being undertaken in those locations explained or partly provided explanations to the higher levels, including the fact that the locations like Adenta barrier, atomic overhead, circle area, the Kaneshi first light areas recorded significantly high levels of sulfur dioxide. And those are areas, and even Kaukudi Junction, those are areas where you have a lot of trotro vehicles and other heavy duty vehicles concentrating and idling.
Well, this story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by Clean Air Fund, which had no say in the story's content.
Mary's boy child, Jesus Christ.
And of course, if you hear the sound, that means Christmas is just around the corner. Merry Christmas in advance to all that celebrate it. That's how we end Newsnight tonight. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Kenneth. Jesse, have a good evening.